Hi, my name's Bill Glasris, and we're here today talking about our firm, Prospect Partners. Prospect Partners is a Chicago-based private equity firm. We're a little different than a lot of private equity firms that you may have come across. What's perhaps really distinguishing about us is our focus on very small companies. We call it the lower middle market, and we're very, very active buyers of small companies. People say, what is the lower middle market? And to be honest with you, that term's been thrown around in a lot of different ways. The way we think about the lower middle market is companies with revenue typically between $10 and $30 million. So our focus is on companies with revenue between $10 and $30 million. We will from time to time acquire businesses that are larger than $30 million in revenue, and we very frequently acquire companies that are smaller than $10 million in revenue. And we are, beyond that, we're very focused on what we call small niche leaders. What do we mean by that? Well, think of it as the big fish in the small pond. We're trying to find companies that are already the most important company in their market, or while we're investors in the company, can become the most important company in their market, be it sales, be it profits, be it market position, however you might define that. And that eliminates a lot of different kinds of businesses out there in the economy, but it also includes a lot of different kinds of businesses depending upon how you look at markets, geography, that sort of thing. We've been in business now since 1998. The principals here, there's 14 of us, have been at this for a long time. In my case, this is my 25th year of doing this. We manage two funds totaling $270 million. Our first fund was $105 million, raised in 1998. Our second fund that we're currently investing is $165 million. And we manage money on behalf of large institutional investors. So where our money comes from are the likes of, our largest investor is Goldman Sachs. To give you a feel for it, the Goldman Sachs group is about $50 million of our current $165 million fund. But we also manage money on behalf of other large institutions. General Motors, actually the pension fund of General Motors is a big investor. JP Morgan, the bank, actually the asset management group within the bank is a big investor in our fund. The Northern Trust, a firm here in Chicago you may know, an outfit in Los Angeles, a very well-known investor called Wilshire Associates, and University of Notre Dame, which happens to be one of the great private equity investors amongst universities in the world, is an investor. We're really proud of the fact that they came to us and wanted to invest with us. We have some other investors, private advisors, and some individuals, but that makes up the bulk of our capital in addition to the partners. And each of the principals here invests in every one of our deals and is involved financially in everything that we do. Back to what we like to buy. We are active buyers of small companies, and we have a great deal of experience in working with and looking at and working through the problems of and helping to grow small companies. Again, we call them the lower middle market. We get involved in the companies as principal owners. For the most part, we are investing in companies in which our fund will become the majority shareholder post-transaction. Each of our transactions is really what amounts to a leveraged buyout, i.e. we borrow a portion of the purchase price from a bank or other lending institution, and we invest our fund dollars as equity in the transaction alongside of the management team that we're backing. Our fund, Prospect Partners, never owns 100% of anything. We're always backing the on-site, day-to-day CEO and other managers, and they are always our equity partners in the business. Let me tell you a little bit about our history as well. As I mentioned, we started as a firm in 1998. Our principals go back in the industry, though, quite a bit further, either as fundless sponsors, buying companies on our own without a fund, or all of us started working within other large fund organizations and kind of learned our trade doing that. And that goes back now some 25 years. However, since 1998, we have invested in some 65 or more companies and over 30 different platform companies. That number keeps growing all the time. Platform companies, from our perspective, are individual management teams, individual balance sheets, individual investments, and those platforms very often grow through acquisitions. So when I say 65 or more, And some of those platform companies have made one or more subsequent acquisitions. We call those add-on acquisitions, by the way. That's kind of the industry parlance you've probably heard. And again, those companies tend to have been in the size range that we've talked about, that 10 to 30 million base revenue, small niche leader. We've been actively investing the fund throughout the history of the firm up to this very day. And just to give you a feel for how that works, it sort of ebbs and flows a little bit with the economy. Of late, it's been somewhat slower as a result of frankly, prices being high, and of late, we've been more focused on add-on acquisitions. It isn't an exact correlation, but our firm, for the past year or two, has been acquiring a small company probably almost once a month, just to give you a feel for the velocity and the number of transactions that we go through. For you to all understand is at least in the case of Prospect Partners, but also in the case of a lot of private equity firms, we work through intermediaries. We're big believers in the intermediary process, and most of our efforts, most of our marketing, all of our outbound communication is focused on talking with the intermediary community. When we mean intermediaries, we're talking about folks like the March Group. March Group example, very active. We see a lot of opportunities from Bob, from George, from the group there, and we've actually acquired, I believe, one company, maybe more than one, through March Group over our history. We have relationships with a lot of different intermediaries, and it goes back a lot of years. And we talk to them on a regular basis, either on the phone, via mail, via email, via attending industry events, and we tell them about what we've been acquiring and the sorts of things that we're looking for on a day-to-day basis. And we, of course, continue to go back to our central message about companies with 10 to 30 million in revenue, small niche leaders, and then, of course, it's an ongoing discussion on what's in the portfolio, what are the current companies that are actively buying, actively seeking to make acquisitions, and that's really the way that we go about our business. I say that because I think it's worth any person considering selling their business to understand that the intermediary process, from the perspective of a buyer like us, an active buyer, is absolutely critical. We do not spend our time going and trying to approach companies on a direct basis. We do not pick up the phone and call Acme Corp and try to get the CEO on the phone or the founder or the owner or whatever and say, hey, we're interested in buying a widget company, you're a widget company, we'd like to buy your company. While I'm sure you get phone calls like that all the time, primarily from intermediaries, we really allow that process to occur between the business owners and the intermediaries. And that allows the companies to take their time to decide if in fact they're interested in doing something, to have real questions asked of them by real professionals, and hopefully you're dealing with real professionals, and to make the decision thoughtfully as to whether or not you really want to be in the market and you really want to do something. Much more time effective for us, and frankly it works much, much better, because anytime you're selling something as important as your business, having a professional between you and the buying community is of great value to you as a seller, and I assure you as a buyer is a great value to us. Yes, there's some costs associated. Yes, there's a time investment associated for everybody, but the process works much, much better. And even if you say, hey, I want to work with a different intermediary or whatever, you should certainly be taking seriously the notion that you ought to be working with a professional, comprehensive intermediary and going through a pretty strong and professional process.